Any questions from...
Yes, we have some questions here.
Oh, nice.
So Bhante, what is the difference between liberation of heart and liberation by wisdom mentioned in the sutta?
Tough one.
Excellent question.
It is a good question. Very, very good question. This goes in the face of those commentators who always insisted on dry vipassana, saying that it's just through vipassana that you will attain. That, in this case, it's an individual, an arahant. This is one way of distinguishing. There's also another distinction where you have an arahant being identified as liberated in both ways. That means through the jhanas and through wisdom. So that's another designation. Basically, they're saying the same thing, the way I understand it, of course. Some might not agree with me, might be. But with the jhanas, as you go through the 8 jhanas, what I didn't mention is there's a 9th jhana. This is where you're going into the supramundane level, where there is the cessation, the ending of both feeling and perception. Sanya Vedaita Nirodha Samapatti, it's called in Pali. This is an affair of the heart. One of my teachers used to look at chitta or ceto as having to do with emotions. We have to overcome them. He was very much influenced by Western psychology, unfortunately. But Lord Buddha when he was talking about the mind, he distinguished mano and chitta or ceto. In this case, it's akuppa ceto vimutti, ceto, unshakable. The heart is unshakable. That's why the insistence on the intuitive sense. A lot of the work that we do as meditators has to do with intuition. Instead of looking at it analytically, or, okay, now I'm at this jhana, next I'm going to go to the next jhana. So what can I do? What are the tricks? What can I do? What can I do? That is very much trying to use your head, not your heart. This has a lot to do with the heart, the work that we do. Remember, yesterday I was saying the kileshas, the defilements, are in the heart, as is the Dhamma. Unfortunately, the defilements come and suffocate the Dhamma in your heart. How do you not have that happen? By living a morally conscious, wise life. Choosing the wholesome from the unwholesome. The way you treat yourself. When I almost exclusively now teach metta. Why? Because our time period now in this planet is in desperate need of metta. Not just to give but to someone else, to the world, but to ourselves, because we have this very staunchly, adamantly, aggressively arrogant attitude towards ourselves. Especially how we relate with ourselves, how we treat ourselves. Oftentimes I have to send students to go see a therapist for some time because they are resorting to meditation as their way of chickening out or getting a shortcut, using the Dhamma as therapy. That is wrong. So the person has to do their work in creating that balance. And Lord Buddha didn't use these many words. He was excellent in using the little amount of words and saying so much. So liberation or freedom through the heart or of the heart. That's how I see it. When there is this balance now, where the mind is so calm that the person can drop into the cessation of feeling and perception. And as they come out of it, by the way, they're not conscious while in it. As they come out, they have to have already predetermined, just like Lord Buddha did when he went to sleep to rest. He determined that I will wake up at this and this time. When Ananda finishes giving the talk, I will wake up. For example, I don't know. Similarly, the person decides on coming out of the cessation of feeling and perception, maybe after 20 minutes or 7 days. That's the maximum. Even though nowadays there are people who say they can stay longer, which tells you something, but they're not doing it right. They're talking about something else. But as they come out, the mind is so primed, it seeks to be in the signless. It can no longer attach itself to any ideas. It's so clear, it's so calm, the heart is so open. Nothing shakes it. Nothing shakes it. The mind is completely blank. You have to invite a thought. That's how liberated you are. You have to, okay, let's have a thought. Come. I'm saying it in a very nonchalant way, but basically, it's like, a gold coin tossed into the mud, and you remove it, and it has no spots on it, stainless, untouched by the mud. I'm giving you examples, similes, or so that is there. But there's also wisdom, like in the case of Venerable Sariputta, and that is the liberation through wisdom. Meaning, if you ask, let's say, Venerable Sariputta, he would be able to unravel for you in his exquisitely masterful way how the three characteristics of existence, breaking down anicca, breaking down the connection of dukkha to anicca, and the anatta part, completing the whole circle. And they're liberated through understanding. That has to be there. So in the case of Venerable Bahiya, the way I understand it, he attained arahantship through wisdom. He didn't have time to go through the first. Some people might say he did. I don't know. But I don't have a record of him having any of the suttas, of him having gone through the jhanas, the liberation of the heart. So there needs to be that quiet. Now, that doesn't mean that liberation through wisdom means the person is sitting in the bookstore or library going through the suttas and they say, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, that's not liberation through wisdom. That's analysis. Analysis has nothing to do with the path, with the attainment. Am I close enough to addressing the question? I don't know whoever asked the question, but it's a very difficult to explain because and whoever tries to explain it, they're just going to use a lot of left brain to describe something that is far beyond the left brain's limits. But we could try.
Thank you so much. That was such a thorough answer to your great question.